Hello, everyone. I'm Alexis Brink. I'm a TAP, and I am here today with Felipe Garcia. He is going to teach an NATAA workshop December 9th from noon till 2 p.m. Eastern. And so we're going to have a little discussion with him. Felipe Garcia, TSTA, TAPI, has practiced as a licensed professional counselor and licensed marriage therapist in San Antonio, Texas for 50 years. He has been a member of ITAA since 1972 and was one of the founding members of USATAA, now newly named North American Transactional Analysis Association. He still serves on the NATAA Council. Felipe has published 2 articles for the TA Journal on the responsive process, reactivity in 1982 and responsivity in 1992. He wrote 2 chapters in the book Growth and Change for Organizations, published by ITAA on the same topic, the role of feelings in the workplace and winning together. The articles are available on his website, www.winningtogether.org, under the publication tab. And welcome, Felipe. It's lovely to see you.
Thank you. It's great being with you, Alexis.
So I have a few questions for you about the workshop. What is responsive process?
Thank you. Well, the responsive process is what we do when we have a feeling or a thought, an idea, and we think about the feeling, such as I'm hungry, and I think, well, what are the options? What kind of food do I have? And then I go do something to take care of myself about the hunger. And the same when I'm angry because somebody hurt my feelings or ignored me or interrupted me, I go in and think about, how do I want to respond to this anger? What do I want to do about it? So that's the responsive process, is responding to internal stimuli such as feelings, thoughts, ideas, prejudices, judgments, urges. I may have an urge to slap somebody or push them or yell at them, but that doesn't mean I have to yell at them. I can take my time, take a breath, think about it, and decide how I want to respond to that. So there's an internal responsive process and an external responsive process, because I want to respond to other people's requests or information. The external responsive process is when we go out and ask for what we want or check out reality of what we're imagining something to be and check out if that's true or not true, share feelings and so on, and exchange strokes.
Yeah, oh, very interesting. And the title of your workshop is Practicing the Responsive Process, Self-Focus for Self-Care Instead of Games, Passive Behaviors and Unhealthy Codependency. Can you explain that a little bit?
Practicing the responsive process, the reason I chose the word practicing is because we know most of what I'm going to talk about, we already know. It's TA theory and theory that we have learned and understand. But practicing is another thing. Like, I'm okay and you're okay, and we know that. But what does it feel like when I'm behaving from an okay place? What does it feel like when I'm behaving from a not okay place? So practicing is instead of knowing. That's why I chose the word practice, is practice the responsive process. And we're going to talk about a lot about that in the workshop. And then self-focus for self-care, it requires that we be aware of what's going on internally and that we focus on ourselves in order to take care of ourselves. And in TA theory, we're responsible for our own well-being, our own needs, our own life, and our own happiness. And so in order to do that, we have to self-focus for self-care. We need to figure out what's bothering me, or what do I want to do that I want to pursue, and what plan do I have to pursue that. So self-focus for self-care is very important in taking care of, in practicing the responsive process. Instead of games, passive behaviors, victim, rescuer, persecutor roles, Because in TA, we learn a lot to diagnose games and rackets and victim, rescuer, persecutor plays. And this work is about what to do instead. So I developed this material to try to figure out, so if I don't want to be a victim, what do I want to do instead? And that's a responsive process. I want to say, I need your help because I'm having trouble with this or that. Will you help me? That's not being a victim. That's taking responsibility.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. So in this way, you're using that was my next question, but I think you answered it. The transactional analysis, the concept, how you use them in this model.
Yes.
It's really a solution.
That's right. And the question that you ask is, how does this model reflect transactional analysis, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, this is transactional analysis proper. It's examining transactions, how I use them, how others use them, how I want to respond to them. So it is the transactional analysis process that we're looking at in detail. It's a communication model, the responsive process, actually. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense to you, Alexis?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, so it sounds very practical. It's about taking the action. And yeah, this definitely sounds like transactional analysts can use it in their practice.
That's right.
How does the I am okay, you're okay position model benefit this process?
First of all, I want to feel okay in order to take care of myself. And I want to respond to you remembering that you're okay too. And so this model invites us to feel what it feels like to be okay. What does it mean I'm okay and you're okay? It means to me that there is a part of me that's beyond the ego states, which is the essence, the being of the self. And the only way that I know how to get to that is by stopping my thinking and feeling, not stopping, but not paying attention to it and deciding not to go there. And instead paying attention to my breath, focusing on my breath and moving myself out of my urges and thoughts and feelings and all of that, and just staying with my breath. And eventually I can relax into feeling my body and relax my body. And so that's the okay position. That's the phenomenological experience of the okay self. And from that place, I can then take a breath and look at what's going on in my ego states in terms of feelings and thoughts and behaviors, and analyze it and decide what I want to change. So that's how the okay position, it applies to the responsive process. It also applies in that I want to respond respecting your okayness. So I don't want to blame, shame, ignore, or treat you negatively. I want to treat you in positive ways, in an okay way. So those are some of the ways that it applies.
Yeah, wonderful. Great explanation.
Thank you.
How do you use the responsive process in your practice working with couples? Just a short thing that people can receive.
Couples are individuals. Couples and organizations and groups are made up of individuals, and this applies to the individuals. The responsive process applies to us individually, where we, for our own internal dialogue, we can think about what we're needing and feeling and thinking. It also applies to the external dialogue in relationships to others. But I forgot the question.
How do you use the responsive process in your prep? Because you've worked a lot with couples and marriage counseling.
A lot with couples and organizations, and it applies in both situations. Yes, couples are individuals. And so I want to help couples learn to respect each other's feelings and to respond to each other's feelings with care in order to not re-injure the person. And so couples need to learn how to stop blaming and shaming and start taking responsibility for their own happiness instead of you made me sad, or you got me angry, or you don't do this, or you don't do that. To focus on self-focus on what's going on with me, and either change that if I want to change it, or report that if I want to let my mate know that. And the goals of TA, according to Byrne, are intimacy, awareness, spontaneity, and so I want to help couples reach intimacy by stopping blaming and being authentic with each other.
Mm-hmm. That sounds like the I'm okay, you're okay right there.
That's right.
Very important.
It's very useful in working with couples, very helpful.
Yeah. And is this workshop for anybody and people will be able to use this in their practice after? And what will students walk away with?
This material is useful for anybody. Anybody can learn how to think about taking care of themselves. The only thing about the workshop is that we transactional analysts have a tendency to use TA theory and terminology. So I will use some of that. So it would be good for people who are coming to the workshop who are not involved in transactional analysis to read some about what transactional analysis is, maybe in the NATAA website. I think there's a material there. Or just Google up transactional analysis to get some of the definitions of the basic concept. But yes, it fits for everybody. People walk away with a reminder that we're responsible for our lives and our happiness. And to learn to use the responsive process, both in taking care of ourselves and responding to others individually, but also organizationally and governmentally and culturally. There's many ways that we can apply it. We can also apply it, incidentally, when we made a behavior that we are sorry about, that it was not what I would prefer having done. So I can go back to it and think about, what was I thinking? What was I feeling? And what are some other options in terms of responding to that? My neighbor told me yesterday that she locked the keys in her car. And then after she told me that, she said, I was thinking that what was wrong was that my car, because she was driving her mother's car, my car beeps when I leave the keys in, and this car doesn't. And so what I need to do is remember to take the keys out every time. So that was the responsive process in reverse, because she had done the behavior, but she's thinking about the behavior in terms of what was I thinking and feeling in order to learn from the situation. Yeah. So it's useful in that way too. So I hope that participants will take with them the model to use in their everyday life, in their everyday relationship. I used it a lot in doing this workshop or getting ready for it, all the way from, do I want to do it, or I want to do it, or why do I want to do it, and getting nervous and scared about it, and going through that, taking care of the nerve of responding to my internal anxiety, which I do a lot. I respond to my internal anxiety a lot.
I think a lot of us do, right? So this sounds really practical and wonderful for anybody to learn, as well as counselors and therapists. And you are also the star, one of the teachers at Project TA 101, which is also so wonderful and helpful for people get the basics of transactional analysis.
Oh, that's right.
That's right. I've learned so much there.
That's a good place for people to go learn TA, is a TA 101 online.
Yeah, Project TA 101, which is also on YouTube. And so, Felipe, I will certainly be there. I thank you so much for this wonderful insight of your workshop. And so that is the NATAA workshop, December 9th, from noon till 2 p.m. Eastern. And we are looking forward to seeing you there, Felipe. Thank you so much.
I'm looking forward to being there.